Right, thanks for remaining with us on TVC Breakfast. It's time to take a look at the papers this morning. What are the headlines saying? Of course, we won't be doing this alone. We have an analyst joining us, Charles Ideho. Good morning and thanks for joining us. All right, so let's begin with a punch. 26 dead Nigerian women found on Spanish warship. Bodies kept in ship's refrigerated section. Italian prosecutors investigate incident, and of course the policy to curb illegal migration underway. Of course, we only heard recently that some 27,000 Nigerians actually died on their way to search for greener pasture in 2016 alone.
But first of all, it's quite sad, but that's the failure of the African government. These are the ones that get reported. The ones that do not find their way to the media. Is even has greater number of casualties and dead bodies. The one that, what about the one that they die at? Along that route, this Sahara Desert. Desert. Because a friend of mine went over there to do a research on it and investigation. If you see, there are littered all over Sahara Desert are shallow graves. Oh my! People. A Mercedes-Benz 200 of those days, Mercedes-Benz 200 of those days, that old Mercedes-Benz, you find passengers hanging on the boot of the car, on the bonnet, just hanging on to anything at all. So when they fall off, nobody waits, and they're dead.
Exactly, and we've had stories like that, that even just helping them won't even wait for them.
They are dead.
Once they are dead,
they are dead. And most of them is that once they don't even find water, and then they pay so much money to fraudsters.
That's the point. So if they are able to raise all those funds, why don't they just raise the money and start off some kind of business
the story they get
back
is
home?
The story they get is that once they get there, they hit Eldorado.
I guess we hardly can pontificate to those people.
The more people die, the more people move over there.
Absolutely. Let's move on. We don't really have time to look at all of this. Otherwise, we'll be shedding a tear or two. Now, Buhari presents 2018 budget to National Assembly today. Of course, he'll be doing that amidst some level of tension. The National Assembly, especially the House of Reps, they're asking for their constituency project money. They say not a dime has been released to them.
But I thought we closed that chapter of
How did we close? How did we do that?
Well, but coming this November, for me, I think it's too late, because by the time you will go through the same route of quarters, of dotting the I's and removing certain things, before we know it's already May again. So I expected that by August, and you present it, then all the deliberation will take place by November. By now, you think that everything has been
And then when the Speaker of the House of Representatives read the letter for the President to come to the House, members started shouting that the 2017 budget has not even been implemented.
Even to 30%.
Exactly.
Not even 30%.
All right. Okay, so let's go to the next paper. That's The Nation. The major headline here says, PDP crisis grow in states. With riders, McCarthy overrules endorsement of aspirants. Battle for Secretariat in Ogun. Bolarumi, Ladoja, fight for control. Party chairman, North-Southwest show. Now, it's quite interesting. So many things happening to the refined People's Democratic Party at this time. 6 states already held their congresses and they are being immersed in crisis. And it's quite even sad, more sad that Lagos is yet to even hold it. And of course, everybody knows that Lagos PDP is also divided.
Yes, of course. But when that court verdict came, and then we all thought that the resolution had come. But the problem was that there were infighting. The infighting is there. Then the PDP was divided, but they didn't harmonize all this. They didn't bring everybody together to a single platform. So it's what you are finding now, what you are seeing now, is a reflection of the division that took place. Remember, there was something
that means it will take more than a court judgment, whether at the Supreme level or not, to bring peace to any party for that matter.
Take a look at Lagos. You have the Aero Land man, and then the Baba George. They are still at each other's throat. So how do you reconcile that?
And then the McCarthy Caretaker Committee dealt a blow to the Southwest yesterday again, saying that they never ceded a chairmanship position to the Southwest.
To the Southwest. So that alone, I mean, I personally would want PDP to resolve this, because we want opposition in Nigeria to be able to keep the government in power on its toes. In any democracy where you have no opposition, the ruling government will always rush short over everybody. But I think they need to close all these loopholes and come together and form a formidable opposition.
Okay. Another catchy story here at the down bottom left of the paper says, varsities unions brace for battle. ASU alleges inaction. Yet again, university unions are planning to go on strike after their meeting this week. They are saying that the agreement they had with the federal government so far, the government has not met its own end of it. That not a dime has been paid as promised.
There's a question I usually ask, and everybody knows that. Actually, I say, who do Nigeria? I've never found any answer to who
Maybe it's
us.
Nigerians that are doing
because
themselves.
I mean, take a look at, you have government on the one hand, you have the unions on the other.
Yeah.
They reached a compromise, they reached a conclusion for which government was supposed to play its part. If you can't pay everything at once, you can prorate, you can decide to make this installmental. But when you find out that you don't, okay, the other time they had, when Oshibaja, all of them, they all met, we thought that truth would bring about sanity. But look at now, government had been able to force us, not force now, advise them to shield their sword. They actually did. Well, now, we expected that by now we should be releasing money in piecemeal.
Yeah, but then they put a big question mark on government's integrity and sincerity when it comes to this agreement.
Yes.
All right, moving on.
Going abroad?
Before you move on, let's quickly touch the story so we don't forget. 50 kids die of strange disease in Jigawa.
Yes.
But eventually, after other investigation, the Ministry of Health Secretary, Permanent Secretary, said that it was actually malaria with typhoid.
Yes, right.
Why do we always tag them mysterious diseases?
But if you are not found out what
because they didn't go to the hospital.
But I think unknown
that in itself says a lot.
Language is very, very important.
Yes, absolutely. The Daily Sun, of course, reporting still on the 26 Nigerians in tragic end on Mediterranean. Sexually abused victims' bodies found on warship. We hope that the Nigerian government will actually wake up to this to investigate.
We hope.
Save Nigeria's democracy. Wike urges international community. Yesom Wike is calling on the international community to help. Is Nigeria's democracy in trouble?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
The way it is, yes. Because first of all, some of us who surrendered our mandate to this current government, we expect that certain things should be done. Take a look at the issue of the plethora of probes and probes and probes. People found guilty. People, you find that it's as if a lot of people. Are
they found guilty or they alleged to?
Alleged.
Yeah.
But if somebody it's an allegation, I mean, if allegation is hanging upon somebody, you expected something to be done about that. But at the end of the day, okay, look at how long did it take the president to act on the issue of the grass cutting scandal. So these are the things we are looking at. That if you find something like that and then you act precisely and you act decisively, people begin to take this government seriously. That's why I say I believe that this.
So democracy is one thing. Then if you don't have political will to do the right thing.
Political will has to be robust where you have a thriving democracy.
Kogi Governor Idris Wada detained by the EFCC. That's coming from the Daily Sun.
The former
Kogi Governor.
The immediate past.
What do we do with that? I mean, EFCC. Let's just quickly move on to this.
All right, the Vanguard.
No, I'm excited about this one.
No, we have to go. There's a position we have to follow. The next one is the Vanguard newspaper. The major story, of course, is the one you talked about, the death of some girls, teenage girls, Nigerian girls on the Mediterranean. But other stories here credited to the senior special assistant to the president on diaspora, Dabiri Eriwa, saying that illegal migration is not worth it. And then says government has returned 5,000 Nigerians this year alone. And then NAPTIP says it's part of the danger of illegal migration.
But the ones that were returned, question, what did they come back to meet better lives? So that's why you see that these are the things that's driving their desire to live. It is a failure of not only Nigeria, African, because even not only Nigeria, if you look at it every time, all the records taken, you have the Beninois, no, not Beninois, you have the Nigerians, you have the Burkinabes and rest of them. So it's only Nigeria. So it is the failure of African government. If we have better deal here at home, nobody
why would you want to venture out? Exactly.
That's at all costs.
At all costs. At all costs.
Let's go to another one. Maina Gate fallout. Osinbajo Obono Obla meet as confusion trails suspension. Of course, that made news yesterday when Obono Obla, the presidential chairman of a panel to retrieve stolen wealth,
yes.
was told not to address the media, not to conduct anything or grant any interview unless he seeks recourse with the Attorney General of the Federation.
Exactly. The one he said led into trouble.
So
but it's also part of what the government should do. Usually when you have a government in place, you need to have a single pool of information, a clearinghouse. So it is that clearinghouse that will speak for government, that will speak for the officials. But not everybody talks. When you talk, for instance, most of what they say, they are at variance. So that's what we have.
Where government stands.
Exactly. So you need that they need to re-engineer that pool of some of us are into information. So you need to, when you are speaking for government as a government mouthpiece.
Exactly, mouthpiece. Yes. Okay, Aliko Dangote Foundation votes $100 million to tackle malnutrition. Of course, that is one of the topics we've been looking at today.
Yeah, very good one. All right, finally from this day, now this one will come as cheering news to every Nigerian. $64, that's what the global community would be paying for crude oil.
Is that
how will that really...
Is that sharing? we once had it at about 110 or something.
Yes.
Did he give you better life or something?
Okay, well...
So, the thing is that we are back again. What about the focus on agriculture and then the non-oil earnings? All this one, we are going to be pushing them
and in the midst of all of this, the finance minister, Ideho, is saying Nigeria is not an oil nation.
Exactly.
Who
I
says who?
wonder what says
that is a misconception.
No, it's not.
Nigeria cannot equate itself with countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the rest of them.
How can you justify when you have over 90% of our foreign earnings come from
Exchange
where?
from
So
it.
what does it make?
Okay,
us?
so
What
now
that's
with
depending on
this,
oil
no, we have to start. We have to reduce our dependence in oil. That we are.
And of course, you're not refining oil anyway.
Well, with the crude, everything crude is crude.
Major problem. Now, the federal government and Delta State appeal to Avengers for patience. Of course, the Niger Delta Avengers have been renewing their threats, saying they will.
I think
we have time.
They won't. Do we still have
Yeah,
time?
because
They will
still
not.
go
They're not going to be lying down anymore. But government is saying, look, we've started. We've started the Ogoni cleanup. The Maritime University in Okerenkoko is about to take off. Of course, October was the set date for takeoff. We don't know what's happened with that. It has not. And.
Yes, let's take the story. Lagos bridges to be demolished for new railway lines. Now, the question, this happens.
Yes, I saw some.
Must you destroy something to build another?
Well, the thing is that I really would not blame them, because when you look at what was built or what stands there now, you didn't take into consideration for a railway to be coming. So if you want to build, you want to maybe adjust it now, it might be faulty. The foundation for the adjustment wasn't there in the beginning. If you are going to, for instance, you want to carry about 34-story building, but what you had in mind before was about 18. There's need for you to, this foundation was for 18.
But the state has a master plan. The state and the country are supposed to have master plans.
You're supposed. I like the language "supposed to," but they didn't have it. So this is now the contingency. Have now said that they need to review, because you know why? But the foundation for that bridge cannot take the foundation for what they want to build. So they need to.
Okay, but one would imagine that if you want to build rail lines, you pull down houses, you clear houses, expand, yes. Rather than pull down bridges that would have
the bridges are part of the structures.
So much money.
The bridges are part of the structures. You need to clear those bridges to have a passageway. For instance, there's the one they are building from Oshodi to maybe the old toll gate. The media is being expanded. I thought that should have been for a metro rail,
yes.
But he says for BRT. No,
exactly.
no. Did you know just a single coach of a railway, of a train? Do you know how many?
So many people.
It takes so many people. So it will
empty so many problems all at once.
Exactly. So the roads will last longer.
Is there something wrong with our thinking process when it comes to?
No, I think there's something wrong. You know what happened?
What exactly?
You see, the thing is that it is political, because the more these projects are temporary, the more money comes in for the politician,
and then you can use it to get
to get more. Exactly.
Because so at the end of the day, it's not really about improving.
No, because you know why? If you build a structure that will last for the next 50 years, you are saying politicians should not make money for 50 years.
Oh my!
And then knowing that, of course, these people are paying tax, not just in Lagos anyway.
Exactly. So Lagos State should look for it, rather than turn that median. Quite beautiful. I drove through that place. It is not supposed to be for BRT. I expected them to do that right from Oshodi down to to empty into the O2 gate should be for real.
But if you count the cost,
yes.
really, which is cheaper for government to carry out a rail line?
We don't talk about cheaper, we talk about long term.
Well, politically,
politically. BMT will pay them, but rail line will not pay them.
All right. Okay, now Saraki looks like he might just return back in the eye of the storm. Paradise Papers, we don't really know what that is all about, but you know, he's been denying hiding any assets and violating any laws.
And it's been trending online, really.
Yeah,
and it's about leaking documents of people that have stashed ill-gotten wealth abroad.
Yes, you know, there was a documentary on
Panama Papers.
So
this is
that's our job as well. You see, I also feel bad that I mean, when we started journalism in the 90s, some of us, investigation was better, but this day now, all we do now is that we just look for news, throw it outside there. People will argue about it over 1 week and so on, then the news goes. So I don't think it's we need to investigate whether it's right or wrong. Yeah, so that's
all right, Charles Ideho, we'll have to end the news analysis at this time.
But we're not letting you go yet.
Yes, we need to talk about the latest threat in Nigeria now, as the Avengers in the Niger Delta region are saying that they have seizing every form of agreement with the government and they are going to commence attacking oil installations in the country. Stay with us. That's the end of the newspaper review. We'll go on a short break and then return with the discussion. All right, the Niger Delta has, Avengers, the region now has enjoyed relative peace in recent months, but that peace may be threatened with the recent threat by a militant group there, that's the Niger Delta Avengers, to resume hostilities in the region.
Well, we have a report from Oviateme George, our TVC news correspondent.
Attacks on oil installations in the Niger Delta reduced crude oil production to about 1 million barrels per day in 2016. Intervention by leaders and elders of the region led to a 16-point agenda by the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, quickly followed by a fact-finding visit to states in the region by Professor Yemi Osinbajo, then in acting capacity as president. Today, crude oil production has hit 2.1 million barrels per day, but the Niger Delta Avengers has threatened to resume hostilities in oil installations in the region.
The Ogonui cleanup issue, which they kick off and nothing happened. 1 liter of oil has not been removed. Is it the maritime university that they said they will start September, October? This is November. Nothing seems to be happening. We will release 2 billion out of the 10 billion that were requested. No 50 kobo has been released. So is it EPZ project that the federal government said they are going to kickstart? Nothing. Is it the issue of relocation of IOC's headquarters to the area of operation? These things are just there. Nothing seems to be happening. It means that somebody somewhere, some people somewhere, do not want anything.
The spokesman of Baramatu Kingdom, God's Power Benekama, is appealing to the Niger Delta Avengers to be patient with the federal government.
So we are begging the Niger Delta Avengers to still give government some time. We will also still talk. That's why the fact that they say they don't want to listen to leaders again, because they listen to the leaders for 1 full year, nothing has happened. But the federal government should know they don't have time. The Niger Delta Avengers are not a group that just do something with the laptop or whatever and then go to sleep. They are a deadly group. We don't know them. They are faceless. And the media should help us, beg them, talk to them, that they should sheath that sword. Let's see what the federal government is going to do. For me as a leader, I am not comfortable.
Benekama also called on the international oil companies to be more sensitive to the plight of people in the Niger Delta region. Oviateme George, TVC News, Warri, Delta State.
The point is, are they ready to shoot there? So that's another question. The NDA, the Niger Delta Avengers, they're saying Operation Red Economy is the name of the game next. Of course, Charles Ideho is still here with us to look at this particular thorny issue. Now, at a time when we should be glad that the price of crude oil is going up, $64, now the Niger Delta Avengers are coming up with this again.
Well,
are they really fighting? Are they really fighting for the Niger Deltans? Really?
Well,
or is this really more of a selfish
well, I think on the one
motive?
hand, you might say no. On the other hand, you might say yes. There's a yes and there's a no. The yes is that what they are doing is having to raise awareness and calling for government's attention to Niger Delta. So that's the yes that they are fighting for Niger Delta. Because if they didn't raise these threats, government will not pay attention to the price of the Niger Deltas. On the no aspect of it is that in most cases, let's go back. Back to a few years, the Yaradua era. You find that they came up with this issue of amnesty for Niger Delta youths. Yes. And then what did that succeed in doing? Is succeeded in throwing up a few individuals and made them billionaires to the detriment of the general well-being of the Niger Deltas. So you might find that there are a lot of people who are also very, very, very strong about the issue of they did not benefit from that amnesty program. It is their turn. That's why I said there's a yes and there's a no. But I would rather settle for the yes. Because when you take a look at what's happening in Niger Delta, the devastation over there is not something everybody, anytime I visit over there, I cry. For instance, there was a particular year in Ogoni land where when it rained, it was black rain. Because of gas flaring. So
even recently there was a suit in Rivers.
Suit, exactly. Oh, you remember that suit in Rivers that that affected the death of everybody, yes. Yeah. So you find that the federal government had really not paid enough attention.
Yes, but looking at the efforts of the current administration
so far.
signing and agreeing that it will start cleaning up the Ogoniland oil spill, which has never been done by past administrations. Many would say that, yes, this time around, the government is listening to the people of the region. So isn't that a good thing, knowing that even the government set up a form of committee, amnesty committee, just last November for them to rein in illegal arms in the region?
Well, that's also quite commendable. But if you look at the speed is too low. It's too slow. You take a look at when this thing was, the issue came up. You look at when but if you go over there, I watched even here on this platform. I watched maybe on another platform. I watched the documentary. What they are doing over there, it's a little too slow. So they expected, but maybe they need to be educated. It's not something you get within 2 years. Because it's not like somebody who has been in prison for about 10 years. You're going to release the person in the second year.
I need to get out of here.
The following day, he wants to be out today.
Yeah,
so that's exactly how it is. But I think what federal government should do now is that pay more attention when you make promises that nobody hold the gun up to you. To your head. It is very, very important for you to start those promises, making sure they are manifested.
Well, one could actually say that government had the gun to its head to agree to some of the 16-point demand
by PANDEF.
Yes. And of course PANDEC. The two groups and other elders of the Niger Delta have been trying to intervene and call on the NDA, the Niger Delta Avengers, to sheath their sword and be a little patient with the federal government. Of course, the federal government too has said, be patient. We might, look slow, but we're slow and steady.
They won't listen to this.
So what are the implications of this if they don't listen? Where does this take us?
The reason why they don't listen, when you take a look at even the elders of PANDEC, most of them are those people who also were enriched. They found this enrichment from the crisis in Niger Delta. Take a look at Edwin Clark. I mean, he's made a lot of gains from this.
Former federal information minister.
If you take a look at most of them, they made so much money from this crisis, not for the.
He became the father of former president, and later on he wasn't the father anymore.
When you see that so much money had been made by these people, they say, okay, you made it, you don't want me to also make it.
And interestingly, the Niger Delta Avengers said that one of the reasons they want to do this is because of the insincerity of those representing them at the federal level.
But again, I need to also, this is why I need to take the war in quote to them. If you are doing that, what are you supposed to do? Because the people, you surrender your money to them and then they represent over there. Then you have the power of recall. You can recall them and change them. You don't need to hurt the economy of the whole nation because a few people are representing you are not doing what they're supposed to do.
Well, unfortunately, it's not necessarily a democratic process where they can actually say, look, we've had enough of your representation because we have lost faith in you, which is what they're saying.
That's what I'm saying. But do you need to threaten the whole country or hurt our
How do they
economy?
now change this crop of representatives, of leaders that they're saying we've lost faith in?
But you have another election coming in just 2 years, or barely 2 years.
Okay.
So you can wait and punish them at the polls. Or you can go the Kogi way. The Kogi way is the attempt at recalling Dino Melaye. We've not seen that through yet. But at least
apart from the politicians, but those in the Niger Delta groups, liaison with the government on behalf of Niger Deltas.
That's what I'm saying. The question is that what is the
it's not only the democratic process that
what I think the federal government should do is that we can change the game. We can recalibrate. What do I mean? There used to be a body which, when it was better, a lot of people were happy. I was happy. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Brain State Commission. The Brain State. The Brain State is an acronym of the 6 South states. Yeah. Okay. So they had this Brain State Commission. They met in Asabem. I expected that apart from the NDDC, the federal government can interface with the Brain State. They need to resurrect the Brain State. It was a very, very germane platform for development in the whole of South. Yeah. No, not the whole of Nigeria. You know, you have two states from southeast, one from Yoruba state, and then 6 from the core Niger Delta area. So exactly, making 9. So what I'm saying is that because where the trouble is coming from, from Niger Delta southeast, or the Odo, it is from the core Niger Delta state. So the breast states needs to be reactivated. Then they need to the federal government need to interface with them as they're interfacing with NDDC, which of course some of us are saying is not doing enough.
One would wonder really what the state governments there are doing, because there is this my right kind of disposition the people there have, and which irks so many Nigerians that it is one Nigeria, and of course there is no the natural resources in any state belongs to the federal government. So if you're saying that this belongs to you, you have the right over this. Some other people in another state have the right over theirs, but unfortunately, that is not what is permitted in Nigeria.
I tell you what the state governments and what the state governors do, and they mastered the game, because everybody is looking towards the center. So what they usually sell to them is that any time you're having problem, it is not our fault. It is the federal government.
But they get more money than other states.
No, that's what I'm saying. But
exactly.
53% of the revenue.
Are the people aware? Because when they travel to Abuja, they see the
whose fault is it then if the people are not aware? There seems to be a break in communication. That's what you're saying.
It is the people's fault. It is the gullibility of people because they are gullible. Once you give them anything, it's like they accept the hook, line, and sinker. Rather than them asking, okay, we have about 13% derivation they receive. What have you done with that?
Okay, so now the Avengers are saying, of course, we'll take a break.
No, we have to end the interview.
We have to end it. Okay, now very quickly before we end it, 1 second will not do us any harm. The NDA are saying that government is only interested in the oil wells and not necessarily the well-being of the people of the Niger Delta.
I agree.
Is that what it seems?
Yes, I agree.
All right.
Thank you very much, Charles Ideho, for your analysis, and thank you for the extra analysis. Thank you very much. You've been so dependable. Thank you for coming to the studio.